right, welcome back all you sorcerers out there. This is your boy Itachi, and this is Itachi Gaming, and we are back with an all new DSA Disney Sorcerers Arena video just for you. Just the other day, the dev team put out a raids Q&A, which is absolutely fantastic. We're gonna go through and highlight some things here and also talk about what you can be doing. That's right, you can be doing to get ready to raid with your club. So we're going to point out some very important key things here in this Q&A. So we're not going to go over all of it, but we will highlight some things and talk about them here on the channel today. So first, we're going to go over what they said about why did you choose Ursula as a raid boss, and their response to that was Ursula is one of the most prominent and popular Disney villains. We've always known that she is the perfect candidate to showcase within the raids feature. Adapting some unforgettable Ursula moments from Disney's The Little Mermaid into the game has been a large, fun challenge and has really been captured within the game. Ursula is absolutely one of the largest villains and biggest villains in Disney by far, from The Little Mermaid, and I'm so glad that they chose this as the first raid for them, and it is absolutely fantastic. Now, one of the things that I really want to talk about that we talked about actually a little while ago, one of the things we wanted to see was multiple different levels for different skill sets for clubs, and so they actually talked about this here on this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So here we go. So the question was, are there any hard requirements for raids? And they said there will be, yes. Now's a great time to work on increasing the star rarity of your collection so you have many team compositions at the ready. There will be multiple difficulties on the rate of the raid as well, meant for mid-level clubs as well as top tier ones. So this is very important to make sure that they are being inclusive to all different types of clubs out there. And so this looks like there's going to be multiple different raids, to be honest with you. They also talk about heroic raid, which should give us the shards for Ursula. So do talk about it. Where is it? Here it is. Do you believe the rewards from raids will justify the resources and time needed to participate in it? And they said absolutely. We've got some very exciting exclusive new gear pieces, and a playable version of Ursula will be a brand new character exclusive to the heroic tier within raids. Now that is something that we talked about before, is making sure there was some type of heroic tier, especially if there's going to be a character unlock for the raid. So that is very exciting. Those two things were some of my top two things that they had in this Q&A. Was one, they're going to be including the entire DSA community, and two, that there's going to be a character unlock from this, and that character unlock will be Ursula, which is fantastic. Now right now it says, you know, one of the things here, do you have a predefined timing for launching raids? And they said we've always known that raids were going to come to the game, but there's not a definitive set in stone timeline in place to do it. We always want to make sure that the rewards for completing a raid are desirable, whether it be new gear pieces or something very flashy, a completely new character. We keep our finger on the pulse to identify a window that makes the most sense for a raid to be released. So now I don't know if they're talking about here future raids, or they still don't know when this raid will actually be coming to the game. So kind of unclear here. Hopefully they're talking about future raids at this point, as far as when they're going to be timing out some future raids. This question wasn't particularly detailed as far as if they were talking about the current raid for the timeline, or are they talking about raids to come in the future. So that is a little undecisive there. Hopefully this is talking about future raids. Hopefully they should already have a timeline for this raid, and when we'll be actually going up against Ursula. So that will be completely, we'll see. We haven't got any news on actual date release for the actual raid yet. Hopefully it's very soon. Having a Q&A brings up even more hype. It's been hyping up for over a month now, and so hopefully it will come very, very, very soon. How will we get raids to launch? This is very important, and it says clubs will have an item that is earned by the club's members throughout various game modes. Each player will have a maximum amount they can contribute to the club's total, but once a required amount is reached, a club leader or co-leader may spend the item to initiate a raid battle. And so this is probably gonna be similar to like raid tickets in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. You're gonna receive an item, and you're gonna have a maximum that you can do every day. I think it's like 600 over in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We'll see what it is for DSA, Disney Sorcerer's Arena. And once you've hit what you need to launch the raid, you'll be able to go in and actually launch that raid. I feel like this was one that came from the devs. I just wanted to point this out real quick. Are there any characters that have benefits for using them in raids? Like, really, come on. We just have Prince Eric and King Triton. Are we really not paying attention to kits at this point? But they said yes, there are. Whether explicitly called out, such as Prince Eric and King Triton, or more subtle, such as some effects which may prove invaluable within the raid. So obviously Prince Eric and King Triton have specific kits geared towards going up against Ursula in raid situations, but it seems like we're going to have some other characters that are going to be a little more subtle of an effect during the raid that will actually help out quite a bit. Does character health persist in raids? Generally speaking, a character will either emerge victorious or will have done as much damage as possible to a raid boss before becoming defeated. If a character successfully escapes from a raid battle via a new mechanic within raids, their health value will persist. So this is something we also see in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where you can have a character escape from the battle if you want to use them in another team. So maybe something like Cobra Bubbles, you want to use in multiple different teams, you can have him escape and put him on with the next team. However, when that happens, whatever health he had when leaving the game or leaving the raid or escaping from the raid, he will be carrying that over into your next attempt for the raid and whatever team you put him into. So keep that in mind, folks, when you're playing the raid, that you will have the ability to actually have a character leave that team and leave that raid. Whatever health they have is what they're going to have when they go back in with their new team. They asked, is there a way to leave a raid battle you thought you could do more damage in and retry with the team you went in with, or will you lose that team? So if you leave a raid battle, such as through the forfeiting option, all characters in the battle will be usable again, but that will have cost you an attempt for the day. So yes, you can forfeit and go back in with full health on your characters. However, you will lose that attempt for that day. So you'll still be able to use those characters, but it seems like there's going to be a predetermined amount of attempts that you can do for a day. So you're going to be limited. You're going to be limited in the amount of teams you can go and take in. That is huge. We got to be careful with the teams that we use and be purposeful. We don't know how many attempts yet, but we will see here soon. How did you balance raids? This is a bit of a loaded question. At a high level, we know where every character exists on a spectrum at every point within a character's progression. With this data, we can target specific goals that a raid battle is intended to have within reason. There is admittedly a lot of variability that exists within the game through synergies, chance mechanics, and other factors. So I don't feel like they kind of answered this question. So I'm assuming what they're saying here is that they took the data of what characters are throughout their progression and they balanced the raid accordingly based off the tier of the raid that you're doing. So the tier of the raid that you're doing, you know, maybe tier 2 is meant for 6-star characters, gear tier 6 or something like that, whereas the heroic is meant for 7-star characters. Gear tier 7 or better is going to really excel at that part of the raid. So will raids have multiple tiers gated behind star levels or other? That is the current thinking. Yes, each tier will have certain requirements in it to encourage bolstering up one's collection, but also it's simply not a fun gameplay experience to be instantly defeated without any chance of survival if able to bring in significantly underpowered characters. So essentially what they're saying here is make sure you work on your roster, right? Make sure you work on your characters, on your collection. This is raids are tough, right? You're not supposed to be able to just go in and beat it day one, right? You're going to need to figure out a strategy. You're going to need to figure out what characters work best in the raid, what character synergies are going to actually work together the most, and be able to go in and really attack the raid from a strategical point of view. And so yeah, there's going to be gated star levels. Like I said, when you do heroic tier, you can imagine you're going to want 7-star characters. You're going to want higher gear tier because that raid boss is going to be harder than the tier before where it's not heroic, right? The heroic should yield you the best rewards possible. So we know Ursula is going to become a playable character at this point. Where will Ursula's character fit in the current meta? So Ursula will have some devastatingly powerful abilities that match the effort to attain her. She definitely takes matters into her own tentacles in battle. Rather than spoil the fun, we can simply say to hang tight and review her character details once she's available in the game. So it sounds like Ursula should be a pretty OP character, so just be prepared for that. How it's going to work in the actual tournament meta and PvP meta, we don't know. We'll see what teams can be composed when she actually comes out and we get her geared up and get some star counts on her. Hopefully she's like a 5-star unlock, like some other games that have raids. We'll see how that is to come. More to come on that. So one of the things this person said, I like that there are characters that are better in conquest and raids. Do you think this will be a trend? And they said we want every character to be useful somewhere or in multiple places. We realize that this is an ongoing task as some of the early characters may need a refresh as well as more comprehensive identity as it exists within the game. So I think this is very important. I do like the fact that in this game you have conquest specific kits, you have raid specific kits, that those characters are going to kind of stand out a little bit more in those game modes. They're going to be more useful in those game modes. That is absolutely awesome and fantastic. Hopefully they continue with that trend. Last thing here is the gear. So with the economy of the game, they are essentially looking at for players that are working on T6 plus gear, right? So this will be one of the primary sources of T7 materials, and there are several ingredients that can only be obtained through raid rewards and new raid exchange. So obviously we've got gear 8 coming, and this is coming with the raids, right? So some of the rewards are going to be for gear tier 8 to finish off those gear tier 8s there. And then this is also going to be a huge source for T7 materials, which is sorely needed here in the game right now, as far as getting those materials in more places on a daily basis or a weekly basis, whatnot. So will players get mini rewards for participating in raids, or will resources only be given at the end of the raid? So players will be rewarded at the end of a successful raid. However, raid points that players accrue will count towards a series of seasonal milestone rewards. So that's good. We're going to have some individual ways to actually boost ourselves throughout the game with these points, raid points, that we're going to be able to accrue. So that's very nice. Obviously, just like any other raid, you won't get any raid rewards until after the raid is completed. You have to finish the raid in order to get the rewards. So your club is going to have to work together and really strategize together in order to get those raid points. So those are the big things that I saw here in the Q&A. There are some other things in here that they have, but I think those are the most highlightable parts of this actual Q&A. Now, something that you guys should really look into is starting to look at how many gear tier 7 characters you have. So let's actually filter mine right now and see what I've got. So I've got Baymax, we've got Captain Gantu, we've got Cobra Bubbles, Elsa, Zerg, Hades, Hero, Honey Lemon, we've got Kristoff, Sven, and that's it for my gear tier 7. Now, with that being said, if you look over, I do have favorites, right? I'm still working on some abilities and things like that, but I'm starting to take other characters to gear tier 7. Obviously, Ariel and Prince Eric and King Triton are going to be big ones right now. I haven't started working on my King Triton yet, but I got my 7-star Prince Eric just the other day. So we're working on taking these guys to gear tier 7. Obviously, they have raid kits, which is very, very specific, and is going to be very helpful for this raid. And so I'm currently working on these at the moment, and so I'm getting close to Ariel being at gear tier 7. Then we could work. I'm going to hop down here to Prince Eric, and then I'll start working on King Triton, which his event is back this weekend. I only have him currently at 4 stars, so I need to try to get him to 5 stars as soon as possible and really start working on his kit and things like that. So obviously your top tier characters, I would assume, are going to be pretty big. So think of things like Kingdom. You want to look at your, let's see, your Kingdom team, you know, that primary Kingdom team with Sean Yu, Jasmine, Genie, Aladdin, and then depending on what else you have, either Jafar or Sorceress Mickey. There's some other characters that you can put in here that could help as well. Robin Hood might be a good one. Using Anna would be a good one to use as well. So just making sure that you're looking at those top tier characters from tier lists and things like that for this. In mythical, I imagine Hades would probably be a really good one to do. I would look into even this guy right here, Merlin, as well. He does a lot for mythical characters, so getting those top tier teams and some of those characters in would be great. Madam Mim would be another good one probably as well. If you look at Oceanic, it's probably going to be a big one. As you can see here, I've been working towards Oceanic quite a bit here recently, but characters like Jack Sparrow, King Triton, Ariel, your Moana and Maui, as well as the characters from Stitch would be ideal typically for some of these types of things. So just go through, look at your different factions, and see what you can do. Tech, Big Hero 6 is going to be a big one. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a good team to use. And now even with the second tech team, may actually be a good way to go as well, just depending on who you use there with Gizmo Duck. And you actually have ducks now. If you were lucky enough to go through and get Donald Duck and Daisy Duck, you actually have a ducks team that you could possibly use as well now at this point. So you just want to go through what you're currently working on. My suggestion would be to get those guys to gear tier 7 first, move on to the next set of characters that are close, and continue on that way and working on bringing up your roster as much as possible. So I've been taking a lot of things to gear tier 6, gear tier 5 here lately. We're gonna continue that trend to bring up the bottom of my roster, but I really want to get the top where it needs to be at. These gear tier 6s turned over to gear tier 7s at this point. It's going to become very, very relevant. In gear tier 6, we may see start to come very irrelevant here soon, or irrelevant. I don't know how to say it. It's not going to be as important here soon, with gear tier 8 right around the corner. So one of the things that I've started doing is going in to our exchange here and looking at my club exchange and starting to actually get these gear tier 7 plus pieces. As you can see, I have quite a few of some of them, some of the other ones not so much. I made sure I went through and recently went through all the 8 normals on the hero and villain campaigns so that I can have access to these other pieces that I need to actually farm. So gear tier 7 plus is going to be big, and then going on to gear tier 8 for things like club conquests, so you continue to help out your club, sorcerer's tournament, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge thing for the raid. All right, my friends, that is all I have for you guys today. Comment down below, let me know what you think of this coming up raid, how you guys feel about the devs Q&A, which is something maybe I didn't touch on that you would have liked to hear more about. All right, my friends, my name is Itachi, and this was Itachi Gaming, and until next time, we're gonna go ahead and throw up the deuces. Peace out, y'all.